This is the single most powerful tool available to get property sold, any property sold, in the fastest amount of time possible for the highest price. And it does it all through cooperation. That's going to be a big part of the commissions going on here. So what we're going to be doing today is we're actually pulling back the curtain. We're actually going to be logging in. I've got loaded up. This is like a giant tablet thing here. So I've already got my MLS logged in and loaded up, so we could go start surfing around in the MLS. Now there's a lot of websites like Zillow, like Realtor, like all these other websites that'll syndicate data from the MLSs, but ultimately the MLS is the source of this information, and that's the reason why these properties are getting sold, again, 99.9% of the time, because of the market that's created through the MLS. So there's actually some litigation going on, I think out west somewhere, going on with some antitrust lawsuits regarding the MLS and cooperative commissions. And the thing is, most people just don't understand how real estate gets sold. They also don't understand how real estate gets bought. If you've ever sat there and wondered why a realtor got paid $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $100,000, $200,000, $1 million in commission for one deal, well, it's because a realtor knows things that the public doesn't know. A realtor can see the possibilities, can see the opportunities that the public does not see. But you have to be informed. And there's a lot of people with a real estate license. Actually, in the grand scheme of things, I really shouldn't say that, because there's only about 300,000 people in the state of Florida with a real estate license out of the 23 million people, plus like 30 million if you count the vacationers that are here in Florida traveling right now. Like 30 million people in Florida, and you think 300,000 is too many real estate agents? Get out of here. But anyways, this is a market that's ripe for the picking. And if you arm yourself with the right information, you could cash in on some of the fastest money it is that you've ever made. You've probably seen our videos before about, you know, a realtor on average takes 8 hours to close a seller, 24 hours to close a buyer, and doing some math on based on what that calculation is. We'll get into all that and more today if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, let us know in the chat. So again, if you're tuned in right on the website, right below the video, you should see a chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from right now. And if you have the MLS access, let me know. And we'll try to make this a little bit more relevant for somebody who already understands the MLS. But honestly, there's still things to this day. I've been licensed for many years now. I've had access to the MLS for many years now. And to this day, there's still things I learn about. And part of it's because they're always changing the MLS system. But then also part of it is there's just things I never knew, just because it's such a complex, complicated, intense system, because there's so much going on in there. But we're going to jump right to the commission, because that's the only reason realtors really buy the MLS. So why they subscribe to the MLS is to get access to the pre-negotiated commission agreements. Let's jump over to this board here. We got Mandy tuning in right here from our hometown of Tampa here. Welcome to the Tampa School of Real Estate. But if you're not in Tampa, don't worry. We got Miami in the house. We got Jensen Beach here tuning in. We've had students from over 40 countries around the world take our courses, especially our online programs, and we're talking about people that are overseas and whatnot. So if you do need to get your real estate license, just a real quick plug here before we get into talking about the MLS, 813, I'm just going to put the phone number here for you, 813-333-2676, because after today, you're likely going to have some questions, and maybe some questions that you don't feel comfortable putting into a public chat. So maybe you want to speak to one of our advisors confidentially. 813-333-2676. You could call or text us at that number. And we'd love the opportunity to help you advance your real estate career, whether that's just getting started or you've got renewal requirements and you want to make the most out of them and get them done as quickly as possible. 813-333-2676. And we are the Tampa School of Real Estate, but we are worldwide. But let's talk about the MLS and why this database exists, and why this database is so powerful, and why homeowners agree every single day to pay tens of thousands of dollars to realtors to use the MLS to sell their property. And so this is a very complex system, a lot you could do with it, but let's just zoom way out and say, okay, here's the MLS. And ultimately, the purpose of the MLS is to bring buyers and sellers together. Because here's the thing, back in the day, before there was an MLS, we have to rewind all the way back to the days where electricity was just starting to become the new phenomenon. So way back in the day when electricity was first becoming the new phenomenon, that would be something people would want to go out and see. Oh, we got to go take a look at this model home and see this electricity we could get in our log cabin. Let's sell our log cabin and we'll move into the city here because we could get electricity. And so what realtors would do, what real estate professionals, because there wasn't an association of realtors at the time, so we were just real estate people. We weren't even professionals because there wasn't any professional licensing act. We were just real estate salespeople way back in the 1800s, back when electricity was first coming around. And you would go get yourself a seller. If you were in the trade of real estate, you'd go find yourself a seller, and then what would you do? You'd sit there and you hold open houses every single day until you get that property sold. Now, when your only way to sell your property is you just trying to sell it yourself, it's very difficult even for a professional seller to be able to sell the property. And again, that goes all the way back to the origins of the MLS. And what happened was there was a broker representing a seller who happened to know another broker representing a buyer, and it turns out this buyer was interested in a house that this seller represented by a separate broker had for sale. Now, normally what was customary during the time was not cooperation. That, okay, well, if you want to buy this house, you got to go see that realtor. You got to go see that real estate salesperson. I can't help you. I can only help you sell my houses. Come on down to the used car house lot and let me show you what I got in stock. Don't go to my competitors. Their houses suck. Come buy my houses. You don't see that used car sales type of vibe in real estate because you don't have limited inventory. The MLS now gives you access to infinite inventory, basically, to essentially all the inventory on the market, all the inventory that's serious, because if it's not in the MLS, there's either an off-market deal where they didn't want to try to get more money, or they just weren't serious about getting it sold. But going back to our story, back of the log cabins, first time of electricity, these two brokers made a deal to split their commission. So let's say they agreed to, there was a 6% commission the seller was going to make, and he said, all right, well, you know what, I'll split it with you. I'll split that commission, my commission with you if you bring me the buyer, because I can't sit another open house one more day. And what this allowed to do is now, again, create collaboration. And if you're anti-MLS, you're anti-collaboration. If you're anti-realtors, you're anti-collaboration. And that's why the MLS and realtors are what will get the property sold in the shortest amount of time possible for the highest and best price, because the realtors will not only expose it, because here's what the MLS does today. You fast forward to 2023, and what the MLS does today is you list a property in there on behalf of your seller, and not only is it going to go in this database amongst all the other realtors, it's going to syndicate it as long as you allow this. You could shut this off, but that's not the smartest idea, because you want to get as much exposure for the property as possible. So you do want it to be on Zillow and realtor.com and all these websites that are designed for the public. But what we're about to do here is go behind the scenes into the actual MLS. So now that you understand how this is structured, that this is a system of cooperation. And that's why they're trying to claim antitrust here, is because, oh, businesses working together, they're out to get the little guy. No, we're here to help the little guy because we each have our own little guy to represent. Yes, at the end of the day, we want to do the deal, but guess what? So does the seller and so does the buyer. This isn't our house that we're selling. This isn't our house that we're buying. We're the middlemen or the middlewoman that are in between, helping the deal come together. And it takes knowledgeable professionals to get these deals to come together, which is why even that Zillow's been around now for like 20 years, and realtors have been terrified of Zillow since it came out. since way back. I remember before I was even in real estate, doing some investing things, and Zillow was just starting to come on the scene. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. I remember realtors panicking. Oh, they're going to take our jobs. No, because your job isn't just showing property. Your job isn't access. Your job is counseling. Your job is understanding. Your job is problem solving. Your job is identifying. And that's what makes you a professional that's worth thousands of dollars, potentially per hour, depending on how big the deal is. But what do you say we go into the MLS? Pop over here to the chat. Avon Park, welcome in. Thank you for tuning in today. And now, depending on where you're at, where you're located, there's different MLSs. Now, the largest geographic MLS in the state of Florida is Stellar MLS. So I'm actually a member of multiple MLSs. I have multiple broker licenses. I have agents throughout the entire state of Florida. So as a broker, I'm a member of multiple MLS boards. But typically you would only join one, and you would join the one in whatever local area it is that you're actually working in. Now, if you're in the Tampa, Orlando, Sarasota, middle of Florida kind of area, the good news is that if you're within this area, you're in the area that corresponds with, again, the largest geographic MLS in the actual state. We've even got Puerto Rico in the Stellar MLS that we could look at over here too. This is actually what it looks like when you're logged in. So what we're taking a look at here, this is actually logged into the MLS, what this looks like here. And I think we'll zoom in on this a little bit, but I want to get over to the screen where we can start doing some searches and pull up some actual transactions and really just show you what a powerful resource the MLS is. And you might be wondering, well, how do I get access to the MLS? You've got to become a realtor. You've got to get a real estate license. And even if you could find some way of, like, you know, maybe becoming an inspector or an appraiser or somebody like that, probably not an inspector, but maybe an appraiser. Appraisers also get access to the MLS, but an appraiser isn't making tens of thousands of dollars in commissions. They're making a couple $100 for writing up a valuation. So very scientific, very dry math type of work for it. And again, the pay isn't huge. They don't have $1 million appraiser New York, $1 million appraiser Los Angeles. No, they have $1 million agent or $1 million listing. Because the people that are selling these deals, the appraisers wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for us realtors getting property sold. We would need significantly less appraisers, because if you remove the professional aspect of selling properties, if there was no realtors, if there was no people out there to help people buy and sell properties, there would be significantly less sales occurring in commercial, in residential, for investment properties, for businesses. Any type of real estate would be affected if you remove the professional aspect of it, because we are I don't want to, this come across the wrong way, but we're essentially the grease that gets the deal going, the lubricant that allows this deal to happen. Because if we can't get in there and help the deal move through these stages, the buyer's going to be unhappy for not being able to buy. The seller's going to be unhappy for not being able to sell. And we're going to be unhappy because we're working for free, because we don't get paid until the deal closes. We don't get paid until everybody can make it to the closing table happy and agreeable. So it's a tall order for us. And that's why for a lot of people, it could very often seem impossible. But let's talk about what money's on the line to see what that impossible, for being able to solve the impossible, is actually worth. Vanessa, glad you enjoyed Sunny's class. She's a great instructor. Anybody looking to take Sunny's classes, I think she's actually got a few coming up. If anyone's on here wanting to become a broker, she also does broker pre-licensing as well as post-licensing via live online classes. So let's say we look at the residential today. Let's look at some big houses. What do you think? Let's look at some cool properties. We're going to go into the search here, and we're just going to pull up a residential detailed search. Now, if you're in Stellar MLS, this is exactly how your MLS will ultimately look. It's just like what you're seeing here. But if you're not part of the Stellar MLS, it might just look slightly different. So what you've got, and this is When you join the Realtors, you actually have a few hours of trainings it is that you complete that basically walk you through how to use this all. So if you're not a technical person, you're like, wait, what do I click here? How do I go there? Rest assured that there will be numerous training opportunities available on demand. Seller MLS has great on-demand little videos where you can go through and it walks you through all of this. But for the sake of time of just understanding what the power of this MLS system actually is and what it can do, I'm just going to kind of skip through a couple of things right here. But if you want to really learn how to use this, number one, get your license first, because there's no point of using this if you don't have a license. Because you could use Zillow, you could use realtor.com, you could use these other sites that they'd always get knocked for the accuracy, and the accuracy is still not going to be 100% like the MLS is here. But they're pretty accurate for what's available and what's on the market, and there's a lot of neat things that these websites have, but the one thing they don't have is commission agreements, because that's the biggest thing that you're buying into when you subscribe to the MLS, is you're buying into every single listing that's in here, every single property, every single listing that's in here. You're able to earn a commission if you could bring a buyer. So you don't have to go out and worry about, will a seller pay me? If the listing's already in the MLS, there's already a pre-negotiated commission agreement waiting for you in here. So let's say we're looking for something sold. We're going to stick with Hillsborough County. That's where we are here in Tampa. But we'll go ahead and filter down to that. Hillsborough. Perfect. And you know what? I would like a pool. A pool is always nice. And while we're talking about water, why don't we go ahead and get some water frontage going on here? What kind of water frontage? Yeah, I'd go for the bay. Probably not a bayou. I don't know if I want to live on a bayou. A canal. Nah, let's stick with the beach. Maybe the Gulf. Intercoastal. Yeah, it's kind of nice too. Let's just see what comes up here. And there's so much more. There's even additional things that you could filter by and add in on here. You could basically create the most complicated search as possible. So as far as technical goes, this is getting into how complicated this could be. But what's really cool about this is if you're looking for a very specific type of property, you could dial this all in here and find out how many of those properties exist, and if there isn't any properties that currently exist that match that criteria. Because if you look at what we got right here, there's only 20 properties that have sold in the last 6 months, that have a pool, that have some sort of water frontage here. And let's take a look at some of the big ones. Because you might be wondering, well, do these houses actually sell for this much money? And yeah, we've got some even down to $475,000. But let's take a look at this $3.4 million sale that occurred. Looks like this actually just recently sold last month in April. Pretty nice looking property. Yeah, you've got the pictures just like you can find on any website with listings. Yeah, nice little house here. And so if you have a buyer that's interested in this property, you go search it up on the MLS. You could set up your appointments right through here. But what I want to do here is look at this. Specifically, I want to talk about a little pen up here. Hold on. Don't go away on me. There we go. Oh, come on, get back over here. All right, this should work. So this was a property that ultimately sold for $3.4 million. So ultimately sold for $3.4 million. It was listed for $3.7 million. Originally went on the market back in October. Larger, more expensive properties like this take longer because there's not as many people that can afford a $3 million plus property. But now let's see what the commission is here. So here is your pre-negotiated commission, which in this deal, it's 2%. And it's based off of what the property sells for. So in this case, we've got $3.4 million, and we're going to multiply that by 2%, which if we move 2 decimal places over, we're going to put that into our calculator as 0.02. So let's get the calculator out and take a look at that math and solve that out here. 3.4 million. And this is only a 2% commission. It's a lower commission, but it's also because it's on a $3 million plus. So that's still $68,000 payday for one side. And here's the thing, maybe you don't know anybody that would want to buy something like this, but maybe you get a lead or you come in contact with somebody who's got a property like this to sell. And you're able to raise your confidence and raise your awareness and raise your understanding enough to where you could take on a deal like this and you could list it, and now you put it in the MLS. Let's say you're this listing agent at this Tampa luxury real estate group. You're Eddie White. Looks like maybe Eddie and his maybe wife or somebody, Laura Jean, maybe mom, sister, somebody with the same last name here. But they're now, because typically what it works is it's usually a 50-50 split. It could be split up however it is that they agree with the seller, but they ultimately made an agreement with the seller that we're going to have this much total commission, and we're going to agree to offer out 2% commission. And so that ultimately ends up being a $68,000 payday. How much more likely are you to sell your property if you're offering out $68,000 for the sale of it? Now, you might say, well, couldn't you just reduce your price, $68,000? Yeah, but are you going to find the buyer? Because the reason they're not buying isn't necessarily because it's not priced right. They might not even know your property exists. It might be photographed poorly. It might be, there's a lot of things that could cause what we call friction in a deal. Things that cause a deal to catch. And the more things we have that are causing a deal to catch, the more likely that that deal is going to die on us. It's not going to make its way to the closing table. So again, going back to us being the lubricant, if we've got that friction going on there, that's what we've got to do to be able to try to get the deal done. And I don't mean anything that's like a sleazy sales skill, because when I say like grease and lubricant, you're probably thinking, oh, what is this guy trying to get me to do? No, it's a matter of getting the right people involved, the title companies, the lenders, the right title company, the right lender, understanding things that can be done to find compromises, to find solutions. That's what makes you worth $68,000 a deal. Not that you could find and click through pictures on the internet. We could do that right on here for free, but the only thing that's holding you back from this access, though, is you not having access to this MLS. So there was that first property there, listed for $3.4 million. Let's take a look at this $2.9 million property. Ooh, this one's a little bit higher. This one, and these are solds. We're just looking at what's sold right now. So it's not like, oh, well, no one's ever going to buy this much property. No, these are what actually sold. And that's what's cool about the MLS. It's a great tool if you're trying to pull comps, is because you're going to have all of this data here that's basically guaranteed to be accurate. Because if it's not accurate, right at the bottom of every single one of these here, you can see right here at the bottom, if you believe there's a violation on this listing, click here to report the problem. There's 300,000 realtors in Florida using systems like this. They might not all be in the Stellar MLS. I don't know their exact user count in the Stellar MLS right now. I would like to pull that up, because every time someone likes to say, oh, there's too many realtors out there, they don't know what they're talking about. Because if you do the math, if you look at the numbers, it's not that there's too many realtors out there. Now, you might know somebody who's a realtor who's not very good at it, but it's probably somebody who refuses to learn and decides ultimately to be ignorant and to not be good at this. Because this is not complicated. Real estate is a game of mastering simple skills. And it's a lot of communication. And not just communication with your client, but again, communication with other parties. Communication you're doing in advance to get understanding and training that you need to be able to know how to do this. So what's the money on the line here? We got a $2.9 million deal. That's what this one sold for, $2.9 million. This just recently sold on March 9th. And let's see here, 2.5% commission, so 0.025. $72,000. So even though this property is less money, it paid more. It paid more. Now let me ask you this, and this is where we start getting into an area that could kind of start to go one way or the other when we're talking about antitrust. But let me ask you this. I'm not saying that there's any sort of conspiracy among realtors or anything like that, but in a free market, if someone's being incentivized more, don't you think that's going to increase the likelihood that someone's going to take that incentive? Anytime someone tries to apply antitrust to real estate, it shows a lack of understanding of how real estate transactions are actually done. Yes, there needs to be antitrust rules in place, but the interpretation of those rules is extremely important. Here we got a $2.5 million property. Also 2.5% commission. So this one sold for 2.3, 2,300,000 times 0.025, $57,500. And if you want information like about the HOA, let's see, can I get my little, there we go, here's my little thing here. I don't know why this keeps hiding itself. Just stay up here. So I want to point out some of the things here. So right at the top here, you've got your land section, and this gives you all kinds of details about land. Now this pulls it all together nice, easy, concise. You've got a link right here to the tax records. That makes it super easy to jump right into the tax records to be able to get additional information you might be trying to do to get your due diligence, to get information for your client. You have all kinds of details about the interior, and the way that it's sorted out here is unlike any other database that's out there. Look, Zillow's cool, but it's not this detailed. It's not this complex, and most consumer websites won't even try to be anywhere near this complex just because as a consumer, this is confusing and this is bad web design. So I will say this, if this was a consumer website, this would be very confusing very quickly, which is why you're probably, maybe if this is the first time you're seeing something like this, your eyes may be spinning in your head because there's a lot going on here. But that's why, again, you take a little bit of time to understand what this is, and now all of a sudden there's an immense amount of easy to find information that allows you to line up properties side by side virtually and really understand. You even got dimensions in here for different bedrooms. So if you know there's a certain bed size or couch size or dining room size or something like that, that's a requirement, is having these sizes posted in here. So just for that data alone, the MLS is such a powerful tool. But it's that realtor information down below where it's got that pre-negotiated commission that's waiting for you. All you've got to do is just add buyer. You basically buy this recipe book, and if you could locate a buyer that wants to buy one of these properties, and it doesn't have to be a multi-million-dollar property like this here. Real quick, you've got your community info, your HOA, all that other stuff. So there's so much in here that you could really get into to fully understand the property, and of course with the pictures. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, that's usually the first thing I do, just because personally I like to see the property. I'm a very visual person, so I'm able to remember all the details a lot better after I've seen a couple photos of the property. But there's so much in here. I mean, we could talk about all these little icons for scheduling showings, for getting different reports and data, and so much that you have access to at your fingertips. Now, if you're not selling real estate, this is a big waste of money. If you don't plan on earning any of these commissions, how are you going to make the money back? Maybe it's through some sort of investing, and that's why you want the extra data in here. Well, that's cool too. Get your real estate license, go join the Realtors so you can get your own MLS access, and now you don't have to pay Realtors anymore to help you buy and sell properties. But most real estate investors don't have a real estate license. Most real estate investors allow someone else to take that, but that does come at a cost, typically of about 6% of the transaction. Let's take a look at one of these smaller deals here. This $550,000. Now we're getting closer into the price range of a more normal price point. Looks like we've got some sort of condo here. Let's see how much this one was paying. 2.5% as well. Let's take a look at some of these. I'd like to see one that's a 3%, because there are 3% commissions out here as well. 2.5%, especially as you're getting into higher price points. Also more desirable properties, because it's not just sellers that want it and buyers that want it. It's other real estate agents really want to have certain listings, especially if it's a nice listing. So if you've got a really nice listing, you might have realtors duking it out just because they'd rather sit in an open house in a nice house versus a dump. But you know what, if you don't mind sitting in a fixer-upper as an open house, or you know what, maybe you could sell the property without having it to be a fixer-upper. So let's check out this one right here. So this is actually Marina Point. This is a development, an amazing development. If you haven't heard anything about this that's going on down in the West Shore area here, this was all like shipyards and just basically nothing. And now they've got, I know they've got one tower fully completed here. I believe they're working on the second one currently, and I think there might even be a third tower. There's townhouses. It's an amazing little community. Doesn't look like they have any additional pictures here. A lot of times the builders don't have the most detailed info. Yeah, you can see this one here, stats only. A lot of times builders don't list every single unit, especially if there's multiple units. But what they do put this in the MLS for, so this is a professional seller. When I talk about professional sellers, you might be wondering, do I need a realtor? Can I just do it for sale by owner? This is a multi-billion-dollar company that's developing it, developing this property, and guess what? They're still offering compensation to realtors because they know they're too foolish to think that they could sell it on their own and make more money. The realtors have proven that. They've done statistics and studies that show that working with a realtor gets anywhere from 10 to 30% more value compared to not working with a realtor. And when a commission is maybe, so if this is two sides of a commission here, 3% and 3%, that's 6%. So if you were to sell this $882,627,000 property here at a 3% commission, that'd pay just under $27,000. Now, of course, you'll probably have a split with a broker, especially if you're new to real estate, because you're not in this alone, and you shouldn't be in it on your alone. And if you join the right broker as a new agent, a brokerage designed for new agent that has a support system built in, and that support system, it shouldn't just be the broker, and it shouldn't just be some sort of corporate support line. There should be multiple tiered structure of different support from things like training. You might have like some training videos, maybe some training classes that you're doing to learn a lot of these basics. But then what you have for additional support when you start doing deals yourself and trying to actually get contracts and closings. And so there's two main types of brokers. 100% brokers, where you could basically get all of this commission minus some sort of transaction fee, or split brokers. And split brokers are going to be where, let's say you're on a 70-30 split. That means you would get 70% of this $27,000 and the broker would keep 30% of that $27,000. And you shop around the broker that's the best fit for you based on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to do luxury properties, you're going to want a realtor, a brokerage that has a luxurious brand, that has features that would appeal more to a luxury client. If you're wanting to work with investors, you're going to want to join a broker that would have things that would appeal to investors. If you're not sure who you want to work with and you just want to sell real estate, make sure you're joining a brokerage that's going to provide you with guidance so you can actually make money with your real estate license instead of just banging your head against your laptop, like making social media posts or doing whatever it is you might be doing that you might think is helping you get business. But again, going back to having a good supportive broker, that's why it's worth a split. And so if you're getting 70% of this $27,000 or $26,478 here, it's about 18. No, that's, hold on. We'll call it 27,000 times 0.7. Yeah, about $18,000, $18,900, $18,000, $19,000. That would be about a 70% split on that $27,000 commission we just calculated there. Money in your pocket. So when's the last time you got a paycheck, a pay stub for $18,900? Now, granted, yes, there's cost to be able to get into this business, to be able to get your license, the courses, the application, your exam prep, post-licensing, to renew your license, the realtors. There's going to be some cost to doing business. But this is one deal. Let alone you do this once a month. There's $250,000 there. You double that and you do 2 deals a month, there's $500,000 right there. You double that and you do 1 closing a week, you're almost at $1 million. And that's just out of your split, in which if you're bringing in $1 million a year, I don't think you should be on 70-30. You're probably due to be on a higher commission split, maybe 100%, because if you could bring in $1 million in gross commission a year, you obviously know what you're doing. And that's the thing. Real estate is a game of masterful execution of simple concepts, simple ideas, simple skills. So if you could communicate with people, if you could problem solve, if you could remain optimistic when all seems against you, you could be an outstanding real estate professional. But if you don't have a real estate license, you could go to jail for 5 years for trying to be an outstanding real estate professional without getting that professional certification. Now you might be wondering, wow, they're going to send you to jail for 5 years. How long is it going to take to get the license? Maybe a week of a class, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe, depending on what type of format you do. But if you want a 7 days straight, 1 week class, we've got one going on right on the other side of this hallway right now here in New Tampa. In 7 days, you'll be done with it. We've had the fastest one that I could quote a number on of somebody getting licensed start to finish, 18 days. 18 days. Not just 18 days to take the class, 18 days to take the class, to do their fingerprints, to do the application, to pass the class exam and pass the state exam. 18 days. So this is not something that you need to be a genius for. This is not something that you need to spend forever going to school for. And this is something that could mean tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars for you and your future and your family. So if you want to take the next steps to advance your career, whether that's just getting started to earn your license, or maybe you want to complete the renewal requirements to keep your license, or maybe you're ready to jump to a broker license, I'll put this phone number up here one more time for you. You could reach out to one of our advisors confidentially, 813-333-2676. Again, that's 813-333-2676. You can call or text us at that phone number. And right now, we actually do have a special promo going on for Memorial Day. So I'm going to share this with you right here, right now. You could get 15% off any of our non-text-based courses. So this does exclude the text-based courses, but in my opinion, I'm not the biggest fan of the text-based courses, so why would you want to just read everything? Maybe that's your thing, and they're already priced great as it is, but for any of our instructor-led programs, any of our exam prep, any of our video-on-demand courses, you can get 15% off. And this includes, again, classroom courses. So that 15% can be quite a significant savings, especially for the classroom and the live online courses. Or if you really want to save some money here, you could use the same promo code FREEDOM for the entire complete Jumpstart bundle. So you can get the 15% off, not just your course tuition, but also the already discounted bundle pricing, including the exam prep and your post-licensing course for the first renewal. Now, if this all seems maybe a little bit complicated, a lot of information, that's okay. We're not going anywhere. We've been here for years, since 2007. So we're here to help you for the life of your real estate career, to help you go from wherever it is that you may be at right now to living your dream real estate career. Whether that involves you being an investor, whether that involves you being able to travel more, whether that involves you buying a nicer house for yourself, driving a nicer car, being able to take nicer trips, being able to have money stocked away in savings, being able to have money for rainy days. You know, everybody loves this the stability and security that a job provides, but how's that job working out with all the inflation we've got going on? I get it. And in a job, you really don't have much control over the inflation. But when you're running a business, you do. And so if you want to become an entrepreneur, if you want to become somebody who could be in control, we want to help give you that freedom. Use promo code FREEDOM. Call or text us 813-333-2676, or just visit us online at tsre.us. That's tsre.us. Use promo code FREEDOM. That'll get you 15% off. Again, pretty much anything in our catalog, any instructor-led classroom courses, live online courses, video-on-demand courses, all of our exam prep. Even if you want to, again, pre-order your post-licensing with those Jumpstart bundles, you could save with that promo code FREEDOM. So that's going on today. Make sure you use that before midnight to save. Promo code FREEDOM. Again, tsre.us is where you can find us online. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. We'll be back next Friday. I had a lot of fun with this today. If you guys want to see more real world episodes like this, maybe see some of the other realtor tools, maybe see a little bit more in the day of the life of a realtor, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. I really appreciate you all tuning in with us live today. It's really our passion here at the Tampa School of Real Estate to help people understand the opportunities that exist through real estate, and we'd love the opportunity to help you advance your real estate career. So if there's anything we can do to assist you, reach out to us. Again, 813-333-2676. But otherwise, have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you next week. Are you studying for your Florida real estate exam? If you are, you need to check out our Pass First Try strategy. You're going to love this. It's 4 steps that we break down the process to study for your Florida real estate exam. So you're set up to pass your Florida real estate exam, because that's what you're studying for, right? To pass your exam. It's 4 steps. Number 1, you learn the information. You've got to learn this to be able to pass the exam, but it doesn't stop at learning. Step 2, you've got to reinforce the basic, simple, key concepts. As you learn this information, keep reviewing the simple things. You don't need to know everything, but you got to review these basic key concepts. Step 3, you've got to test your knowledge. The exam's going to test your knowledge, so if you don't test your knowledge in advance, you won't find out if you know what you think you know until you take the exam. And then step 4 is be confident and prepared, because even if you know this material, you need to be confident that you know the material. Check out the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com. So you just got your real estate license. How can you jumpstart your real estate business? The number one thing you should do before you do anything else is post-licensing. Now look, this is already a requirement, so you're gonna have to do it anyways, but here's why you wanna do it early. The sooner you do post-licensing, the sooner you're gonna learn the real-world concepts in post-licensing that will help you create a business plan, that'll help you plan for your success in real estate. Post-licensing is all about real-world topics that are usable, that'll help you grow your real estate business. And at Tampa School of Real Estate, we have the best post-licensing courses around. Find out more about how post-licensing can help you jumpstart your real estate career. Go to postflorida.com.
Have you seen what's going on in Tampa?
If you're looking to get in on the real estate action that's going on in Tampa right now, we're who you need to talk to. We can help you get your real estate license, start your real estate career. We're here to assist you for the life of your real estate career. Give us a call. Phone number is 813-928-0106, or check us out online at tampaschool.com.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.